I've never seen him like that. Jin reveals the moment he realized something was wrong with Jungkook did something break behind the scenes of BTS. Something too fragile to be mended, too personal to be spoken out loud, yet too painful to ignore? What did Jin really witness that led him to finally say, "I've never seen him like that"? And could this moment be the beginning of a much deeper revelation about Jungkook's recent behavior? The internet is buzzing. Armies are whispering. Clips are being rewatched, slowed down, and analyzed frame by frame. But behind every speculation, one fact remains chillingly clear. Jin has finally spoken, and his words are anything but ordinary. When a member of BTS, especially someone as grounded and emotionally mature as Jin, chooses to break his silence with a phrase as weighted as, "I've never seen him like that," it's not just a personal confession. It's a signal, a clue, a moment of truth buried in months of mystery. What did Jin see? What did he feel in that instant? And more importantly, why did he wait until now to talk about it? For weeks, even months, fans have noticed a shift in Jungkook's presence, both online and off. His radiant energy, once impossible to ignore, started to dim. His voice, though still golden, carried undertones of fatigue. His performances remained flawless, yet they seemed almost mechanical. And in interviews, he smiled, but it wasn't the same smile that once melted millions. When Jin recently opened up in an interview segment that was supposed to be lighthearted, no one expected the emotional swerve it took. "I remember looking at him and thinking, this isn't him. This isn't Jungkook," Jin said, pausing with a tremble in his voice. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was something else. Something deeper. I'd never seen that look in his eyes before. The room fell silent. Even the interviewer was momentarily stunned. This wasn't about promotion, comeback teasers, or variety show humor. This was real, raw, and heartbreakingly honest. What changed? Fans have speculated endlessly, from the pressures of solo promotions to the loneliness that can come from being apart from the group during military service transitions. Some believe Jungkook's emotional shift started when BTS announced their temporary group hiatus. Others point to the overwhelming pressure he faces as the youngest, often expected to embody perfection. But now, with Jin's emotional admission, the speculation takes on a more urgent tone. This wasn't a moment of overwork or creative burnout. This was something personal, something that shook even Jin. "I didn't want to talk about it before," Jin admitted. "I thought maybe it was just a phase. But now I think it was a cry for help we didn't notice soon enough." Those words hit hard, especially coming from someone who has always been fiercely protective of his members. It opens the floodgates to questions that fans had quietly buried beneath waves of support. Was Jungkook silently struggling with something deeper? Did the team around him miss the signs? Or worse, did they see them and stay quiet? Jin didn't point fingers. He didn't reveal specifics. But the emotion in his eyes, the tremble in his voice, it spoke volumes. "Sometimes," he said, "you're so close to someone that you forget to really see them. You think you know everything, but then one moment, one glance, changes everything." It's a moment that now lives rent-free in the minds of armies worldwide. That glance. That expression Jin couldn't forget. The timeline offers possible clues. Around the time Jungkook released his last solo work, fans noticed his social media activity decreased dramatically. He disappeared from live streams, rarely updated his stories, and when he did appear, he often seemed distant, present in body, but not in spirit. Still, he smiled. Still, he performed. Still, he gave his all. But now we're forced to ask, at what cost? Jin's comments have ignited a firestorm across fan communities. Some feel betrayed by the silence. Others feel guilty for not noticing. Many are simply heartbroken, wondering how much pain Jungkook had to carry alone before someone finally said, "Something's wrong." And perhaps the most heartbreaking part of all is this. Jin's confession wasn't meant to start drama. It wasn't clickbait or marketing. It was a moment of vulnerability. A window into the unspoken burdens BTS members carry behind their smiles, their performances, their fame. "This isn't about blame," Jin said quietly. "It's about listening. Really listening. Not just to the words, but to the silence between them." What is Jungkook's silence hiding? Is it exhaustion? Grief? Pressure? Or is there a deeper struggle behind his recent emotional distance? The question is no longer what's wrong with Jungkook. It's why did it take this long for someone to ask? And what happens now? Will this public acknowledgement from Jin spark change? Will Jungkook open up? Or will the cycle of silence continue, buried under the demands of global schedules and perfectionist expectations? Jin's courage to speak out may have cracked open a door that has long been sealed. But walking through it, facing what's on the other side, will require more than one voice. It will require the industry, the fans, and BTS themselves to prioritize mental health over milestones. "I love him like a brother," Jin concluded. "And maybe I failed him by not asking sooner. But I'm asking now. I just hope it's not too late." This wasn't just a confession. It was a wake-up call, and as the fandom holds its breath, one question echoes louder than ever. Will Jungkook finally tell us what he's been holding in all this time, as the emotional weight of Jin's words continues to ripple through the global BTS community? A haunting silence lingers, not just from Jungkook, but from everyone who may have seen the signs and chosen not to speak. Perhaps out of fear, perhaps out of love, or perhaps because in the whirlwind that surrounds a group like BTS, it's easy to believe that strength means staying silent, and that vulnerability should be masked with a smile. But now, that illusion is breaking. Jin's voice, steady yet shaking, cut through the noise of staged perfection and glossy narratives. He didn't offer answers, he didn't give a conclusion, and maybe that's what makes this moment so powerful. Because for the first time in a long while, the question isn't about chart rankings, comeback dates, or viral challenges. It's about a human being. It's about Jungkook. What does it take for someone like him, who has always given so much, to finally be seen, not as a star, but as a person? And what can we, as fans, as observers, as people who claim to care, do when faced with such a question? Maybe this isn't a moment meant to be solved. Maybe it's a moment meant to make us reflect, to ask more, to listen better, to be brave enough, like Jin, to say something when silence feels safer, because sometimes the most important truths are whispered, not screamed. And sometimes the strongest love is the one that dares to say, "I see you're not okay." As armies wait, some with worry, others with hope, one thing has become undeniably clear: behind the global sensation, behind the dazzling lights, and behind the fame, there are real people who hurt, who fear, and who need to be understood. Jungkook may not be ready to share his truth yet, but someone saw him, and someone cared enough to say it out loud. And perhaps, in that quiet act of courage, healing can finally begin. So now the world watches. Not for the next performance, not for the next viral moment, but for the next heartbeat. The one that tells us he's okay, he's still here, and he's finally being heard. But what if that heartbeat is faint? What if it's buried beneath expectations too heavy for even a global superstar to carry alone? This is the uncomfortable question now, echoing louder than any fan chant. Has the world loved Jungkook more for what he gives than for who he is? Jin's words did not arrive to stir pity. They arrived as a mirror, a moment of clarity, a break in the armor. And while armies have